Madam Chair Eshoo and Ranking Member Guthrie for holding this hearing, and thanks to all the panel for appearing with us here today. Mr. Cameron, you mentioned in your testimony that the 1332 waiver process was too burdensome and difficult, and you were able to implement a reinsurance program without it. Congress has debated increasing flexibility in 1332, and the Trump administration's guidance provided as much flexibility as it could within the law. Do you think, Mr. Cameron, that Congress should look to build on the Trump guidance and increase the aforementioned flexibility?
Well, thank you for that question, Congressman, and that's a tough one. I think that Congress should look even further, and I'm not going to suggest we build on anybody's foundation. I think you should look further to allow states to be the laboratories of innovation, of laboratories of creativity. Some of the provisions in law didn't even allow. We were trying to get to 1332 under the Trump administration, and frankly couldn't. And you would have thought we would have been able to, but couldn't because of some of the barriers and strict interpretation of the law. Things like the demand that it be cost neutral, and yet they would define what we could measure in order to make it cost neutral. We could show where we were reducing costs for all of for the ACA patients or ACA members as well as others, but it still wasn't allowed. So it's sort of a sore spot in our journey.
Mr. Cameron, let's continue along the line on state innovation. HR 1796 before us today provides grants for state innovation, yet the Biden administration has suggested it may repeal the Trump 1332 guidance. Do you recommend that Congress increase the 1332 flexibility to get the best use of the proposed state innovation dollars should this proposal move through committee?
Absolutely. To throw additional grant money at it doesn't help unless you're going to expand that ability for states to do things. And I would strongly encourage to allow. Every state's different. Although we have commonalities, every state has their unique challenges, and we should allow states to innovate and hopefully find solutions to lowering costs.
You suggest in your testimony going from a 3-to-1 age ratio to 5-to-1. Is this something currently permitted under 1332 today, or is that a flexibility that we should be exploring and providing to states?
Absolutely. It is a flexibility that you should be employing. You should at least have the GAO or some private enterprise study it, but we think that flexibility should be there to states. We did our own actuarial analysis using a private firm, and it would, by expanding from 1 to 5, it would lower costs for everyone, not just the young, but for everyone. So even the seniors would be able to take advantage if you went to a 1 to 5 instead of a 1 to 3. But it's not permitted under the current statute, at least according to CMS.
I'm certainly encouraged by lowering the cost to seniors, to individuals of all ages, and to state innovation, the point that you have made repeatedly, and that is so important for us to understand that each state is individual. So if this committee chooses to move forward with HR 1796, what are your specific recommendations in terms of how those funds should be structured and how those funds should be used?
Well, thank you. And I don't know that I'll give you as specific of an answer as I would like to. First, I would use those funds to allow for that innovation, that creativity, to allow for systems like what Idaho's done, where we're trying to attract the young and the healthy. If you don't figure out how to attract the young and the healthy back into the ACA, the ACA will continue to spiral out of control, and even families like Miss Hatcher will be eventually forced out of coverage unless they're on Medicaid. To me, I think we've got to figure out ways to attract the healthy of all ages and the young back into the marketplace. Doing away with the Congress and the American Recovery Act address those above 400% of poverty, as we look at it, that you could go forward with addressing those in the family glitch.
I thank you for your comments. I see my time has expired, and thank you, Madam Chair Eshoo, and I yield.